All right, welcome everyone. It's been a few weeks. And this is going to be a short live stream. I only have a few topics because I've decided to make dedicated videos out of all the other stuff. And I just looked at my camera or looked at my preview and realized that I don't have on my hat. I don't even know where it's at. I have helmet head. Which on camera is kind of looking emo-y. You know, emo's not dead. A good channel. I hope you can hear me. It's baking hot in here. Even though we've had a cool day, I left the air off in the bike barn. So I'm going to do this as I normally do. I have a few topics. I'll give you the preview of those topics so that hopefully, can everybody hear me? I hope, yeah, I see my mic meter going, so my yapping is being heard. I'll give you the topics, and that way you can decide if you want to tune in or if you want to tune out. Of course, there's always the live stream replay, and I have gotten to where that sounded kind of weird. And I've gotten to where I do a little recap video where I chop it up so that people don't have to sit through the interaction that some of us enjoy. Me personally, I know some of the audience members and already see a couple of regulars here already. So I'm going to give you the topics, and you can decide if you want to stick around. Number one, the extremes, but not extreme riding, the extreme heat. I have a reason behind this because it really affects me personally trying to film. And that leads into what I have been doing for the past month and a half, the past 2 months. And I'm going to talk briefly about a new scooter. I have my old scooter sitting right there, which, wow, really looks dark. That black, you really can't see. You know, that's scary. How invisible that is to me, looking at the screen and thinking that I ride around in that. And usually when you're riding, you know, for some reason you're always in black gear. Anyway, we'll talk about that. I want to talk about, and this one I hope that people hang around for. because there's some, I call it housekeeping stuff here on my notes, but there's something about YouTube that's going on, and I want to get feedback from viewers if you have noticed it, because it's really starting to affect a few things. I might have to open some tickets and go on it, kind of that battle I've been waging off and on with YouTube. And I wrote down a topic that I was going to do on the live stream here. I might mention it. It's e-bike laws. And our e-bike laws coming, and I'm pretty sure if I had to put money on stuff, now keep in mind, I'm horrible with stocks. I am horrible. Any stock I buy, it instantly tanks. So, like, this is not financial advice. My opinion on laws that might be coming probably should be taken with the same grain of salt. So, I'll briefly mention that. And then anything else that we get into on a live stream, it's always something. Always something that comes up in comments or from viewers. So before I get into talking about heat, and it looks like got more viewers now, so not everyone bailed when I gave those topics, so that's good. Let me give a quick look here to chat. And you know what's going to be different this time? I'm not going to be looking all the way over here. I can actually just kind of glance down because I upgraded from a television. I used to use a 32-inch television as the display that you all were on, a 32-inch television. Now you are on a 32-inch actual display, so not only can it get to everything, but the mousing's not all weird and stuff like that. So let me give some quick hellos. I like to do that because you guys that tune into the live streams, very, very important to me. Kind of the core of the core, the Kev Central core. And I see that the first one here was Keo's Mountain Bike Adventures. Hello, a regular viewer. I appreciate you. And Willard Buchanan. It wouldn't be a live stream without Willard Buchanan. I hope Sonia tunes in. A couple of the others. I see CJ Wright, Bulletproof 47, and Willard Buchanan again. Andrew Plays. Well, hello to you. Have you been on a live stream before? I don't recognize that name. And Bib67, I apologize if I am just absolutely destroying your screen name here. I'm trying to read as I'm doing this, so stuff, and I'm already leaning in, even though I don't have to anymore with this display. And I don't want to stop at you for a second because I see you think Walmart bikes can be better. Someone could make the bike with similar specs to Kent Travel Ozark Trail Ridge, but with full suspension at around 500, 600. I don't know, maybe. Walmart could answer that question if it could be done. I'm sure they could pull it off. But go back to CJ Wright. You had a tough choice to make between the Ozark Trail and the Kent Truvail, and you went the way of the Truvail this time. Well, there's always tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. Great bike. You got a great bike. That's awesome. You say, Kev, thanks for all your insights. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And California is trying to pass a new vow. I'm assuming you mean law. And autocorrect got you probably. And you're required to have a license for an e-bike. Yes, Willard Buchanan. That was what I decided to make a dedicated video on because I saw 2 news articles, and one of them was specifically about California and about e-bike laws. And I believe the other one might have been New York or some other large metropolitan area that e-bikes, they're starting to regulate. I'll get into that. So just say Andrew Plays here. Ever reviewed a 6Q? No. I don't do fixies. I don't have the knees for a fixie. I've looked at a couple, but I'm not a fixie person. I did that state. I don't even remember what model. I remember it looked cool, but a state fixie. And while it was fun, it's definitely not for me, especially going downhill when you can't stop those pedals if you don't have brakes. Yeah, not cool. People on electric motorcycles, Suron, will inevitably cause trouble for the... Yes. That all goes into it. I'm sure we'll end up talking about it here on the thing. But before that, thank you to the early comers here on the live stream. I really do appreciate you. Let me get into the topics. That was supposed to be so cool. The little flip off. It didn't work. Came back and hit me. Could have got a paper cut. That would have been horrible. I want to tell you, at least for me, I am in Northwest Alabama, and the heat here has been up today and yesterday. Yesterday was still a little humid, but today we got a break. It was quite pleasant today. But before that, it's been absolutely miserable. And I want to talk about the heat because I want to ask who's actually been riding. Because I go by the trails. I ride my scooter by the trails. And it was only within the past week that I was catching anyone out there outside of maybe my buddy Tanner that I'm pretty sure Tanner could ride through a physical hell and enjoy it. The dude, he can do anything. Do anything on a bike, will do anything on a bike. And yeah, he doesn't seem to bother him, but I'm one of those people. I'm going to give you a story here in a moment. I've shared it briefly, I don't know, in live streams, or if you know me, you've probably heard this story. But I just want to mention this 110 plus degree heat. You know, that's pretty rough on a human being. And it's very hard when you're trying to pump up a hill on a mountain bike trail. And for those of you, I'm sure everyone here knows because we like bikes. But riding a bike, you know, that's riding a mountain bike on a mountain bike trail, that's an intensive workout at the least. At the very easiest, even on a green trail, you can work up quite a sweat even on a cool day. So in extreme heat, I know that people don't ride bikes as much because when I was in college, I was working for a fish and tackle supplier in a warehouse, and I remember noting that it was so funny how they paralleled one another. It would be busy, 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 busy until July the 4th. Right after July the 4th, it was like someone flipped a light switch off. And it was absolutely nothing, a ghost town in that place. And cycling's kind of the same thing. They started about the same time, the end of February leading up. It's just this quick, everybody's riding, everybody's getting something new, everybody's doing something. And then right after July the 4th or around that point, and or whenever it gets super hot, which is happening earlier and earlier here, which kicked off. I think it was our May was really mild. We had a super hot batch, and then we had a really weirdly mild batch, and then just absolute baking. So people don't ride, and I don't ride. Do you? I want to know the hardcore viewers here. Do you ride? And I see someone that rode 60 miles today, but it was a mistake. It was 104. The end of my ride was so definite, I can't see. I've got a little icon down here, so I can't see. When someone else comments, I'll be able to see your comment, the rest of it. But, you know, that's rough on a human being, and that's something I wouldn't introduce. I've had people say, hey, can I borrow a bike? And we go out to the mountain bike trail. Yeah, no, you don't want to do that today. You don't want to do that today. Let's do it when it's cooler, because you get somebody out there and they're absolutely miserable. They're never going to ride again. And myself, the reason I have to watch it, and this really hurts me being someone that films bikes and reviews bikes, of course, we kind of had that glut where we haven't had any new bikes. You know, that was our trail. But other than that, there's not been really any new big box bikes, Walmart bikes, that have rolled out this year. So it's been kind of a glut. So at least that part worked. But when it comes to actual riding, I have to watch it. Because years and years and years ago, I talk about my old Trek 4300 all the time. I love that bike. It was my first true mountain bike. Of course, I say that, but today, by today's standards, people would say you couldn't ride it on a trail mysteriously. But I rode it at Wildwood forever. I enjoyed that bike, but I can remember vividly, very, very vividly, the day that I suffered, I'll call it a heat event. A heat event out on the trail. Me and a buddy, but it's no longer with us, was riding out on the trail, riding crazy. We rode all the time. And it was super, super hot. I remember it was so hot. I had a pickup truck at that time, and rather than us ride to the trail, I loaded a cooler up with Gatorade, and I think he had Powerade. And we actually took our bikes to the trail in the truck, and then we started riding the trail. And I can remember we got on the back side of the trail on some stuff we didn't normally ride and kind of got a little lost. And by the time we got back, at least to the middle of the trail, I remember stopping at the middle of the trail. And from the middle of Wildwood, the way back, now Wildwood has changed drastically. I'm going to mention that here in just a little bit. Wildwood has changed. As a matter of fact, let me show you something. This is a picture of Wildwood, and on the left, that was my buddy David back on I think that might have been the Pacific Evolution. But it's kind of a bad picture. But you can see it's ruddy. There were even landscape timbers where they were trying to stop the erosion. It wasn't super wide. That was the widest part of Wildwood at that point. But kind of looking at the same angle is on the right with the Ozark Trail, and you can see what it looks like now. It's super smooth, it's super wide leading into the trail. So back then, we had the left side. We had the rough side. So coming back, even from the middle point now, you can absolutely just freely coast back down. Back then, you still had to pedal because you were fighting roots and ruts, coming over things to come back. And I can remember it was tough. It was super tough to get back. We were so gutted. I drank all of my Gatorade because, like an idiot, I had one bottle. Took one bottle out, had a bottle cage. He had Powerade. He was an idiot because he didn't drink all his Powerade, where I had guzzled the Gatorade. So I knew he was hurting. I was hurting, I think, worse than he was. So we made it back to the truck, and I can remember this wasn't 110 degree temperatures like we're having now. This was, gosh knows, I'm probably 100. But I can remember making it back to the truck, laying in the bed of my Ford Ranger under the trees, just baking. And have you ever looked out on a super, super hot summer day and you've looked at like concrete, looked down the street, and you can see those ripples, the heat skewing the background from the heat coming up? That's what it felt like. If I could have held my arm up and looked at it, I would have seen the radiating heat like rippling off my body. My entire body felt that way, and it was so bad that I can remember laying back, and thank goodness for my buddy that day, because I reached to that cooler and I put my hand in and I grabbed out a cold Gatorade, and he knocked it out of my hand, at least the best I can remember. I know he took it out of my hand at the least, and handed me the remnants of his Powerade off of his bike, and he said, "Don't drink the cold drink, you'll throw your system into shock. You are overheating, drink this." So I drank, and anyone that knows me, I don't drink after people. I'm germ aware, I will say. Howie Mandel would probably get along well with me. Absolutely. I can point out things Howie Mandel's doing wrong. But I'm very germ aware. I guzzled right out of his bottle, drinking that, and laid there until we cooled down enough that we could drink some of the other. And I've never been the same since. Riding out on the trail, I don't handle heat at all out on the trail. So if you do, more power to you, and that's great. But for me, it's very difficult in the summertime in Alabama in the humidity, especially filming during that. So you may have noticed I've been doing a lot of different content this past probably month and a half, trying different things to put out rather than full reviews. Because there have been no, other than the Ozark Trail here, there have been no new bikes. Well, actually, I do have one good full suspension mongoose that you will be seeing probably this week, now that the temperatures have died down. So there is that one. But other than that, really, there hasn't been anything. Well, a couple other mongoose bikes that go along with that one that you'll see in just a snippet. But that's the one to focus on, the one that you'll be seeing. So other than that, it's been hard. I've been filming e-bikes. I've been filming a lot of e-bikes. So you'll see that content coming, because easier riding, that's what's coming out. That is what's coming out. Just e-bike after e-bike after e-bike. So anyway, I'm going to tell you the heat. Ask the question, who's been riding? Have you been riding in the heat? And I see someone here, Andrew Plays, lost a lot of sweat trying to race a train. One of my last rides, stayed with them at 30 miles per hour, single speed, and had cramps galore. Yeah, that's bad warning sign. Started getting the cramps, but wow. That's, I hope you weren't trying to movie race the train so you could cut across in front of it. I hope not. But I see a few other people, unless you get out before dawn in southern Utah, it's an oven in the summer. Oh, Grayleaf. And hey, Grayleaf, how are you? See BYU won. I think you're a Ute. So nobody's perfect, but I see BYU won this weekend. Of course, southern Utah. If they didn't win, something would be wrong. But yeah, see, what you don't have, or at least don't have as bad as we do, is the humidity. So imagine all that heat and then the humidity. And you mentioned before dawn, that's actually the only trail riding I have been able to get in. It's not before dawn, but if I get out as soon as the sun rises, well, trying that. Don't know why I'm drawing out words tonight, but if I get out as soon as the sun rises, I can go out and I can make a quick loop. I don't know, I have about 30, 45 minutes to goof around on the trail, but I can't film on that because it's right at sunrise and I'm under a canopy. So it's, as far as the GoPro is concerned, it's dark outside. No GoPros. They don't like low light. Of course, the new GoPro 12, I'm hearing, at least in the marketing, that it does better in low light. But I haven't been able to film even when I get out on a ride. And I have learned there's a switch that happens here in Northwest Alabama right at 8:30 a.m. Right at 8:30 a.m. I can be out on the trail and be like, okay, it's morning. It's still a little, it's humidity, but it's not bad. It's got that morning crispness in the air, at least for a hint of it. And then a switch happens right at 8:30. I can be out on the trail and just feel all of a sudden like I'm just radiating that heat. I'm like, the humidity for the day has just hit, and I can look down every time. It's right at 8:30, at latest 8:45. As a matter of fact, I've learned I have to be back in my car at 8:45, or it's that I'm not going to make it back to the trailhead type feeling. So I absolutely empathize and understand what you are saying. So a lot of people here, they don't ride much or even struggle in the summer. So at least I'm not alone. At least there's that. So, that's our extreme. We talk about extreme biking, extreme this and extreme that. We have heat. And I'm looking at my notes here. I've mentioned everything on that. I've asked you what you have been doing. So let me just take a quick peek. I think I looked at everyone's comment here. Kyle C., hello to you. Long-time viewer, first-time caller. Love that. Love that. Really up your videos, or enjoy your videos, and I've learned so much from them. I have a Mongoose grit, and I can't wait to start upgrading. Keep it up. I will keep it up, and congratulations on your grit. That is an awesome little bike for the buck, and a lot can be done with it. Got a buddy. He's working on his grit now, I'm assuming. I know he did one or two things to it, and I'm assuming he's going to do a lot more. And yeah, so anyway, I'm not gonna go back over. If you're new to this live stream thing, I always go back after the fact and I look at every single comment. I try to read all comments. I'm gonna be talking about that when I get to throw my note card down. But my housekeeping thing, I'm gonna be getting to that. So let me click on here because 22 minutes. Oh my gosh, I thought this was gonna be a 30-minute live stream. Already 22 minutes. So I'm gonna try to pick it up here. I'll try to pick it up. All right. So what have I been doing? I want to ask you what you've been doing. I'll tell you what I've been doing. Talked about the riding early morning, reviewing some e-bikes, which is kind of funny because I went for about a month and a half and the only bike that I got was that Mongoose full suspension, and it was so hot that I couldn't get out to do the filming that it deserved because I was having to ride in the early morning. So I have that, but other than that, I had kind of this glut where no bikes were arriving, and I was talking with companies about taking a look at their bike or whatnot, and by the time I started getting shipment notifications, they all arrived at once. They have all arrived at once. So I've been trying to film all of these e-bikes in the early morning hours and then try to edit all together. And I'm someone that I have to do things systematically. I like organization and I like to do things systematically. So when I have 5 or 6 edits going on at the same time, I get a bit overwhelmed, at least emotionally, or when I'm doing things, I don't feel like I'm doing the right quality if I'm not dedicating to one video. So it takes me longer. I don't like that part of me, but I do have a lot of bikes. And I made a note here about agreements. What happens with me is companies will tell me, hey, we'd like you to review our bike. I get a bunch. The only thing you see here on Kev Central are the bikes that I actually have an interest in. So if you ever see a bike here, unless I bought it, if I bought it, obviously I liked it. But if you see a bike that I didn't buy, which then gets donated after I review it, there's something about it. There's something about it that piqued my interest. Whether it be one little specific thing or a component or a color, there's something about it that piqued my interest. Usually it's a frame design. I try not to just there are a million bikes now where it's kind of the same bike, especially in the e-bike world, where it's the same bike just with a different name stuck on it. I try not to get into that game. But if there's something about a bike, and there's quite a few that have some very unique things. So I have that, and it's kind of funny. I wrote down here email offers because this happened today. I don't know about you, but I have a plethora of email addresses. You know, you collect them over the years, right? Different email address from this or that. And my very, very first email address is an account that, if I'm lucky, I check it every 3 months. I might just log in just to see if there's something that I'd subscribed to way back when, like a Blizzard account or something like that, that I need a notification for. And then I have another email address that is on, I have a 2009 Mac Mini. That is an old email address on that Mac Mini I don't use anymore, but I go in about once a month and I just start deleting all the emails that come into. As a matter of fact, I can't even use the mail client anymore because it's so old. The mail client won't even work because the security, not the SSL won't even work with modern standards on that old Mac Mini. But I can still go in with webmail and I delete off this one account. And a funny thing happened. Those bikes I was talking about that are the lather, rinse, repeat bikes where it's the same bike just with different names stuck on them. You know, I expect to get that because I have Kev Central. So naturally, I expect a company to scan through and go, well, this is someone that reviews bikes. We're going to mass send them emails regularly and hope that they'll take a look at the bike. Funny thing is I get those same emails sometimes on those two accounts that are completely separate, not on computers that I use regularly. Nothing about those would link in any way, shape, or form to me. So there are companies that literally just mass email every email address that probably exists, hoping that maybe they might say, so many people do YouTube. I see a spider right now, and it's on a web, but it's spinning in a circle. I don't even have a camera that I can show it to you with. But yeah, it's kind of scary. So if you hear me scream, it is the spider that is now crawling up, and I hope that they do not come this way. But it's on a web, so I know it's not a brown recluse, and that part's good. So anyway, got kind of lost there, but that's throwing me off. I'm not a spider person, not a spider. So if you hear a young lady scream, that might be me screaming from the spider, and I hope that thing is not climbing up and over. Anyway. So that's e-bikes, what I've been doing. I've been filming lots and lots of stuff. Comment if you get those random emails from companies wanting to take a look at stuff. And it's very rare that I get bikes on those two other email addresses, but I do get all that stuff from Amazon. Those Amazon companies, we have, this cooker or this knife or this or that. We have this light, a lot of lights, flashlights. We have this flashlight, and it's 8 billion lumens, the brightest in the world, and we sell it for $4.99, and we would like to send you one for free if you would upload it to your social media account. Just the wording tells you how vague they're trying to hit all this stuff. So that happens when you are a YouTuber, but happens to everybody, I assume. Now, let me move down, talk about what I've been doing, the bike riding, early morning hours, very limited mountain biking in the early morning hours, no real filming that I've been doing for the mountain biking, but I have been riding scooters. I talked a while back, I think I've mentioned it in the live stream. You get into July and into August, and I ride scooters a lot and kind of stretches into, well, actually I try to ride all year round, but really ride a lot. It's one of my main two-wheeled forms of transportation when it gets super hot. And it's kind of funny because it feels good when you're on a scooter and you're riding around because you got the wind on you and you're not exerting a lot of effort to get that wind. So that part's fun. But a motorcycle helmet is absolutely stifling in the summer. I have one of the best ventilated helmets that has ever been made. At least the marketing told me that. And it is absolutely just be drenched. Absolutely drenched with that, but still feels better because I'm not physically worn out, even though I still have to drink water and stuff. But I did get a new scooter. This is my old scooter, the dark one, and I kind of mentioned that leading out. Does this look, at least on my preview window here, that's super dark. I can barely see where that tire, and that's the tire from an e-bike. I can barely see where this scooter ends and that stuff begins. So that is really scary. That every scooter that I have owned, Well, not everyone. I've owned some yellow scooters and so on, but most of the scooters that I have owned have been black. And looking at this, I mean, can you see? Like, I can barely make that out. Where that's a red bike, and I can still barely make out where this scooter starts and ends. Oh my gosh, I'm riding that around with people that are staring at their cell phones in big, huge vehicles, aiming for really anything that they can aim for while they're staring at a cell phone, namely me. And I'm on that black thing with the black backpack. I ride with a black backpack. I try to ride bright colors. As a matter of fact, I've been riding, this is Helmet Head, I've been riding, and I try to do the bright colors, but I have on a black backpack. So on this black scooter with the black backpack, really only have the arms hanging out, and even that's like this. So just a little bit scary. But I've shown that's my Rough House. My genuine Rough House 50cc, the fastest two-stroke that you can buy currently. The last of the two-strokes, and it's Buddy, the Buddy genuine Buddy, this Rough House, but this a little faster, has the 12-inch tires. It is the peak of 50cc and the last of the two-strokers, but I discovered it's just not cutting it for me for what I want to do, and I have scooter buddies, and I've got that urge to ride with. I rode with my buddy Miles. I haven't ridden with Miles in, I don't know, I think it was 4 years. I haven't had a scooter, maybe 3. And I haven't ridden with Miles in all that time. We actually got to get out and ride. I was hanging right with him. It was so fun on the new scooter. And if you don't know what my new scooter is, I actually teased it in one video, I believe. I think I showed it. But it's another genuine product. And I got criticized because I said genuine. If you're from Alabama, genuine, it's the same word. It's just however you want to say it. And we'll go back and forth in the same sentence. We might say genuine at the beginning and genuine at the end or middle of the sentence. It's just the way things work here. And I would recommend that if you're ever in Alabama, you can point it out if you're not in Alabama. But if you're ever in Alabama and someone says genuine, don't correct them. Don't correct them. Might not work out that well. Alabamians get testy with the way we speak. So be careful with that. But I got another genuine. I got the Rattler 200i. It's fuel injected. I made some decisions. I had narrowed it down to just a couple of scooters. The Zuma 125, the genuine Rattler. I was actually looking at the Lance PCH 200. And of course, Vespa. I was looking at the Vespa Sprint 150S. Decided that, ruled that out because the nearest Vespa dealer is in Nashville. That's 2.5 hours away. No Lance dealers close. I do have a genuine dealer close, but I made a new buddy at Scooter Stop. Got a great deal on the Rattler. And it's pretty awesome. I've been having fun with it. But I kind of had a double-edged reason that I purchased it. And I'll talk about this in my review that I'm also working on. I filmed some of the base footage for that yesterday. So I'll be having the review on that Rattler 200i. It's kind of funny. I'll just tell you. Genuine doesn't broadcast this, but the Rattler 200i, it's made in China. It's made in China. They've always made it kind of a big deal about that. It's the unspoken thing we don't talk about, but we freely mention it to reviewers and things like that, is that PGO is the maker of like this bike and the Buddy and most of the bikes that have came out for genuine. But they have the Rattler, and I've now found out they actually have 2 or 3 other bikes made in China, mainland China bikes, which I have a history with scooters. I used to sell scooters at a scooter dealership, and I sold cheap Chinese scooters. I've sold the absolute junk ones back when I was buying them to ride them, and you had to buy extra stuff just for parts. I sold those. I worked my way up. I sold Wildfire scooters, if anybody knows what that is. So, yeah, I know quite a bit about Chinese scooters, but I know if you have good supervision, you can make a good bike. But double-edged meaning, I got the features that I wanted, but if it breaks, I also get to point out that, hey, yeah, look, I spent, $4,000 on this, and it's no different than the $699 Chinese bike that the exhaust falls off of all the time. We'll see. So far, fingers crossed. So far, it's holding in there, and man, is it spunky. That thing has some gusto. So I've done that. I had just finished the 500-mile break-in on that. Actually, the 497-mile break-in per the instruction manual. It's very specific about the break-in process, and it was an extensive service, valve adjustments, and all that. So I just got that completed, which means it is broken in or run in. So now it's full throttle time, and I got it up to full throttle the other day for the first time, just a little stretch. And it's kind of spunky. It zipped right past 60 and was still going. It got a little slower when you get past 62, but it looks like it's going to be zippy. So I have that. You'll see all that coming, as well as the trail riding with that full suspension mongoose. And I'm trying to figure out what I mean by this. Something I've been working on for 2 years. Oh, yeah. This is live stream only kind of stuff. I've been working on something for 2 years. I thought about a year and a half ago that it was about to happen. And then last year, it looked like it was about to happen. But now it's finally flipping happening. I think it's going to take about another 6 months, maybe 8 months before you start seeing it or seeing anything about it. But there's something, at least it's big to me. It's major to me that I have been working and working and working to make happen. And it looks like it's finally starting to happen. So I expect Kev Central to have its second revolution where it really, like I had it where it ramps up and then, you kind of plateaus and then you'll ramp up a little bit higher. But that initial climb, you never get that huge jolt again. But I think I might get that when this pans out. So yeah, something cool. So you'll know when it happens that you were one of the ones that was here at that moment. Which I guess gets me to my unlisted videos thing. I said I wanted to do some housekeeping and I need your help on this. But before I get into this is the thing that I hoped people would stick around for. I want to just take a look here. Let me see chat, give some hellos. See Kyle James, Scott S. Hello to you again. I'll read all these comments later. John, which bike would be I say that and I'll start reading the comment. Which bike would be a better project bike, the Schwinn Axum DP or the Ozark Trail Ridge? Either or, man. Both great bikes, both very buildable. So whatever you can get your hands on, I would say go for. I do think that the wheel set is a little better on the Ozark Trail. I think the wheel set's just a little lighter on the Ozark Trail. So I say better. It's just a little lighter. At least that's what I get when I weigh it. So I'd say that could be the only tilting point. And then is that Rednecks 4x4? Hi y'all. Hey y'all to you. Hey y'all to you. By the way, speaking of rednecks and y'alls, if you're a college football fan, Alabamians are not happy right now. Texas kind of put a whooping on the Tide. So not good college football wise. Of course, if I had my hat, which can't find where I put it. Actually, I just spotted it right as I was saying that. Right out of reach. I'm also a BYU fan, so BYU did well. So there is that. And then I've got Dead Polymers. I don't think I've seen you here. And then a bike video camera. Willard Buchanan. Are you talking about I mentioned the GoPro, and I was talking about low life. That's probably what you were talking about there. And Dead Polymers, I don't think I've seen you here. There's a black hole in that corner. Yeah, light-wise, yeah, it is a little dark here, but still, when you're riding and people have tinted windows, at least in Florence, I've noticed a plethora of what should be illegal tint here, the very, very, jet black darked out. And yeah, so that's kind of what they would see. They're looking at their phone just out of their peripheries. They're slowly running me off the road. So there is that. And then Helix, hello to you. Helix again. And then Willard Buchanan. Scott S, hello to you. Phantom X11, hello. Jesse T, there's a lot of names I haven't seen in chat before, so welcome. I wish I would have planned more. Usually I do kind of some stuff, but yeah, it's not a lot on this one. And then Scott S, genuine Said like Kev, reminds me of R&B. And then Jesse T, want a new one from Houston, Texas. I just talked about Texas, so if you're a Longhorn fan, yeah, congratulations. But let's see, live stream. Haven't seen, new to your live streams, but I've seen lots of your videos. Thanks for your insight. Keep up the good work. If anybody has any questions, now's the time to mention them, because I'm going to do one other thing, and then I'll come back to comments. And then I'll wrap this up in under an hour, which is still over the 30 that I thought this would go. So there we go. And I apologize for the semi-emo hair. This is helmet head from someone that's been riding around on a new scooter and also installing a battery tender cable where I can plug it up. I have one on that one. I bought a new one this morning in Walmart, and I was laying out installing that. I'm surprised I don't have stuff all over me. I was laying out installing that, and they route to different sides. Yeah, it turned into a big ordeal. Just trying to get on the new scooters. A lot down there. A lot of stuff in the way. But thank you, Jesse T, for being here. And then M9078JK3. I have the original Macintosh that just says Macintosh on the back. Wow. Pretty cool. And then spiders make good pets. Yeah, you know, I've totally forgotten about that one. It's probably working its way over. Do you ride? Is anybody that talked about like gray leaf out in Utah? Well, you don't have trees growing on both sides of most of your trails, but in Alabama, northwest Alabama, the spiders, I promise you, they have high hopes because they will build. I used to joke with the manager of the bike shop, who's now the head of the trail thing. Since they widened out the trails, it's not so bad. But if I ride on the older trails, it still happens in the morning. But I used to joke with him. I would get out in the morning and ride my loop, and I would message him and go, yeah, I just cleared out all the spiders, all the spider webs with my face. So you're free to go ride now without having to worry about the spiders. Because in the morning, they build webs back and forth from trees that only humans come by on the trails. And up high, you know, if you're riding kind of, you know, it's up at head level and it's head to torso level. I'm thinking there's an old Larson Farside comic that is a spider, and I forget it was a slide. It was a slide on a playground, and they had built a web, a huge web at the end, the very bottom of the slide. And I can't remember the name, but it was something like, Vinny, I'm telling you, if we pull this off, we eat like kings. That's what I think every time I'm riding out on the trail. I think about that Larson Farside. There's all these spider webs. I'm just ripping through. You can hear them stretching, ripping by as you go through. Yeah, pretty scary stuff. So yeah, spiders bother me. And I was wondering about the hair. Yeah, this is total helmet head. And then Jedison Santiago. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Kev, stoked I'm able to catch this stream. Well, welcome. I'm sorry it's a boring one, but that's just the way it is. And love the Ozark Trail videos. More coming on that. I decided to do the Ozark Trail upgrade path completely different than I've ever done. I usually spread it out just so I can afford it. But this time I'm going at it exactly like if it was my only bike and I was pinched for funds, what would I do? What parts would I choose? And it's kind of happening in real time. I'm not going to tell you what my next thing that I've already ordered that's going on this bike is, but I'm waiting on that to come in, and then that gets put on. Then I'll be saving up for the very next thing. I've set up a budget for it. So that's how I'm doing this. True, getting back to core Kev Central. Total budget build. Doing it the best way that I can afford it and over the time that I can afford it. So you'll have more content coming for the Ozark Trail. But thank you for tuning in. CJ Wright, which bottom bracket crankset do you recommend? Okay, I know you've been around. I think you've been around for a while, CJ Wright. I don't make recommendations. I can only share my opinions and experience based on the products that I use, or just opinions on products. I can share that. My opinion and my experience, I still think the IXF crankset is the best cheap crankset. I think they're great for the money, and now I can get them $29-$30 sometimes. So yeah, pretty good. External bearing bottom bracket. Now the bottom brackets that come with them, I have noticed the cheapest of the cheap. I look for the SciSky brand. It's CYSKY. because they come with slightly better bottom bracket bearings in my opinion. But the cheap $30 ones, just know you might have to replace that external bearing bottom bracket in, sick if you ride a lot, in 6 months, definitely a year. But you can get a new one for $12. So yeah, very, very good in my opinion. And I will tell you this, I have cases over here underneath the tool set here. I have a case. There's a crankset that I bought and used and I won't buy anymore, and that's the JG bike. Now they have a new model. I'm assuming the new model is better, but their previous model that I used, I bought a bunch of them, and the first couple were great. And then I started having some quality control issues, where the chain ring would mount. The little cutout would be off center this way, or it would be a little deeper. That was the worst one, was the first one, because I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I finally figured out where it's notched out so that the chain ring can go on. It was certain depth, certain depth, certain depth, and then this one was a little deeper. So when the chain ring was on, it was kind of canted a little bit, which caused problems. And it took me a bit to figure out what was going on. And I sent that back, and the one that I got in return, it had problems. So I kind of think maybe it was that Amazon thing where all they have left is the returns that they think are good, so they send those back out. That's the excuse I give, but I hadn't seen any more JG bike stuff. Have you noticed that? That's the reason, so I would watch out for that. Unless it's that brand newest one, and then, if you buy it, let me know how it works. But I wouldn't. I like IXF. That would be where I go. And then MX Freak 09, first time live stream, been watching your videos for a bit. Thanks for all the work you put into that. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. It is the viewers that matter. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. TTZ Giordano Intrepid 29, a good deal at $340. That's a pretty good deal for the Intrepid 29. Ooh, don't know how loud that was on the mic. But yeah, that's, in my opinion, that's a pretty good deal. That's a nice bike. A nice bike that kind of got lost in the shadows because of the pricing, I think. But yeah, good bike, especially if you can get it for $340. However, if it's a return, is it marked down? Does it have that clearance tag on it? If it does, look it over, because I have a video about that you can go look. Where, as a matter of fact, I rebought that bike. I'm getting my sides with her. Have you noticed that? Pointing to the proper side now. I'm starting to think about it. But that bike, bought that twice. And the second time I bought it was the one that I had returned. And they had kind of done some unique things too, but worked out well for me. So check it if that's the case. You don't want to get something that actually has a true problem. And then it's like a dash cam. I think you're talking about the bike camera. For the motorcycle, for the scooter. That's what Willard Buchanan's talking about. For the scooter, get a bike cam. Actually, I usually wear a GoPro while I'm riding around the bike with the chesty. Just GoPro with the chesty, and as soon as winter sets in, I have a helmet that has a snap-on face part, and I bought the little mount, the chin strap mount for that, so I'll be using that as soon as it gets cold enough, which might be happening. They said 59 was, oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank you. 59 was the low temperature coming up at the end of this coming week, so hopefully soon. And that means a lot more trail riding. I ride when it's cold. A lot of people don't like to ride in the cold. I love it. Love riding in the cold. My line of thinking is you can only take off so much of your clothing before you get arrested. You can always put more on. You can always bundle up. So I like it when it's cold. I like it when it's cold. And then, let's see, Mr. Santiago, I'll just say that. I don't know. Jettison, cool name. My wife prefers a wider seat. Do you have any recommendations? Yeah, seat. Don't listen to anyone that gives you recommendations on the seat unless they have the exact same posterior as you, because that varies from person to person. You're just going to have to sit on them. Or buy and hope, maybe take advantage of that Amazon free returns thing. Buy a bunch of them and see which one works best and send back the others. I don't recommend doing that. I'm just saying it's an option a lot of people use. But seats, no one can tell you what's going to fit. That's very personal. The most personal thing on a bike, in my opinion, would be the saddle. And Phantom MX-11. I recently took my GT Aggressor. Oh, pretty cool. GT Aggressor. Turned it into a gravel bike. Well, that's not cool. I'm kidding. That's good. I don't enjoy gravel biking, but anyone that does, you're a better rider than me. Front suspension, take it to an event that is 50-50 single track and gravel. Used IXF crankset on it. There you go. IXF, good stuff. I actually have in one of these containers an IXF iridescent color that I've never found anything to put it. What do you think? Iridescent on that? It would totally not go with the yellow. Yeah, trying to point correctly. Totally not go with the yellow. But I do have an iridescent crankset that I've never used. I bought it. Actually, I don't think I even bought that. It's IXF, but I didn't buy it from Amazon. I think that was, I got this one lot. I ordered a bunch of stuff from AliExpress, and about half of it was what it should have been. And that was one of the things, but I've never found anything to use it on. We have to watch out for mountain lions. We don't have mountain lions here. All we have is the demon deer. Other than those dogs that one time showed up, but they turned out to be pretty cool. And just going to give a quick look here and say hello again. I will read all these comments. Devon Sanders, hello to you. It's half off. That's a steal. Yeah, that's a really good deal on that. I'm assuming you're the one that we're talking about, that Intrepid. Good bike for $340. Local Walmart store. Northern Utah has aggressive wild turkeys. You know, turkeys can be mean. Well, you know, obviously. They can be mean. And Will Buchanan, just looking at Nelson Vasquez. Keep the channel going, Kev. Well, thank you. I plan on it. As long as the good Lord enables me with my mind and my body, I'm still going to be doing this. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I think I'm just getting going. Just getting going. So, and that's with the channel, not with this live stream. It'll be stopping soon. But, hey, Mike R., hello to you. Love the live chat. I'm late, but wow, you know, I use Streamlabs, and they've added a little icon here that I can put on stuff. And it's totally in the way, so I can't see the... Oh, there you go. I can see it now. So thank you, Tatsuo. Thank you. And aloha to you. And so you said, Mike R said, hey, Kev, love the live chat. I'm late, but better late than never. So true. Troubleshoot Gaming. Well, hey there to you. Wow, a lot of people tuning in late. I apologize. I'll be wrapping up soon, but I do have one more topic. Of course, you can always go back and watch this, because as soon as I end it, it uploads and you can go back and catch the live stream. So anyway, I just want to say, so you're a previous live streamer and you're coming back. So thank you for being here. So let me get to one thing. You know, I just realized I want to mention this. Some of the things I don't normally do a lot is say, I don't say a lot. I probably more in a live stream than in conversation. But when I'm doing voiceover, when I'm recording videos and things like that, and even live stream, I don't have to check that out too much. But you always have to think about what you're saying. And a lot of you watch live streams or someone making a video and it's every other word. I don't have to filter that out. But I do have to filter out certain things, and I've realized I say so a lot. So, I throw that in. That's my what's the introductory clause in a sentence is apparently so. Yeah, weird. I do that. But anyway, so let me get to, see, I just did it. I just caught myself. I just did it. Let me talk about some housekeeping, and this is going to involve you. Well, your comments, because I've been having this weird thing. Let me see if I can get it to happen right now. Just going to load up my YouTube studio, and you have a YouTube account. So when you create a YouTube account, you know, of course you can log into YouTube, but if you start uploading content, you can install YouTube Studio to manage your content. It makes for an easy thing. You know, get up, I check comments periodically throughout the day. And I have just this little notification icon I can click on and check comments, and then click into the comments, and change the way they do it. They get to comments, and I don't particularly like that now. But I have this thing where there are comments, and I click on them, and it says there's no comment to see, or I'm clicking on a few. Can't get it to happen live, of course. But people say, did you delete my comment? And I hadn't deleted a comment in a long, long time. It takes a lot for me to delete a comment. Usually language, that auto deletes. So if there's something like that, but I haven't deleted anything, and sometimes I'll start seeing this. I'll have somebody that'll reply and I'll go to view it and there's no comment to view. But then I go back and I still see the comment. So there's that. But the more concerning thing is when I go into content, see if it'll do it now. Let me refresh. No, on YouTube, you have in this app, well, you can see it, but there's the little monetization icon. And that monetization icon will be a little globe, or that's public. Then there's a dollar sign, a green dollar sign now. And that green dollar sign and the globe, I think it might be the globe. Maybe it is. It'll be a question mark. Yeah, it's the globe. I'll have something as public, but then periodically I'll look at my studio and I'll see a globe, which means that it's not, or not a globe, a question mark, an exclamation point, which means that it's not publicly viewable. But I refresh and it comes back. And I've started looking through my videos and it seems that at any given point, I have hundreds of videos, like 600, I think over 600 videos, I think. Yeah, over 500 for sure. Maybe it's over 600. And if I scroll through, at any given point, I'm starting to see randomly some of my videos that it looks like YouTube changes from public to unlisted and then changes back to public for some reason, and that's affecting some views. And I've also had another issue that kind of goes along with it on those same videos that happens to, and I'm just going to make up numbers here. I could have 100,012 views on a video, and when I see that happen, I've started taking screenshots of this, and I will see, at least I think, I know that was my plan. I think I've taken a few. But anyway, that I'm going to for sure start doing it. But I could see it and say 112,000 views. And then as soon as that icon appears, some of those views will go down. It might be then 104,000. And then when it comes back, it'll be at 104,000. And it'll slowly build some more, more people watch the video. And then that icon might appear again, and some of those drop back off. So it's a really weird thing. As a YouTuber, you depend upon views. Views it's everything. Views is everything on YouTube. And when I have them randomly disappearing and my videos becoming randomly unlisted, well, obviously, as a channel that doesn't do, I don't take money rolling in. All I do is the YouTube ad revenue. So that's a problem when videos are starting to disappear. So I want to ask you, have you noticed, is there a video that you've watched? Because I know a lot of you will go back and watch. I do this when I'm watching channels. There's something, I watched one today, Project Farm, about fuel treatments. I went back and watched this video on fuel treatments because I wanted to see what he had to say about Seafoam in the most recent test that he had done, because I'm a longtime Seafoam user. So I go back and I start watching the videos. So you know what I'm talking about. There's a video, something, and you go back and watch it, like IXF cranksets. You remember a bike that had one, so you're like, yeah, I'm going to go back and look at this and see about that. Have you had a case where one of my videos, you went to go see it, one that maybe you've bookmarked, and it wasn't there, but then later it was? So if you can, please comment to me and let me know. You had Jingle Bells flagged for copyright on one of your videos? Is that what you're saying there, Trevor Scott? And by the way, hello to you, along with Lou Grubb. Hello, Lou Grubb. I get normal friendly comments deleted often. It happens. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but I've started noticing that recently, where my videos get unlisted and then relisted, at least according to the studio. Now, what I haven't actually done is when it's unlisted, I have my account, so I can always see it, even if it's unlisted. So I'm curious. I know I caught one of them. There's one that I caught. It was a short that had been made unlisted, and I actually went in there and actively changed it back to public. which was news to me. As a matter of fact, I can tell you exactly which one it was, because it was it was the one where I was talking about all clunk. Nope, I take that back. It was the Fuker pedal. The Fuker pedals short that I made about the Fuker pedals with this bike right here. I made a short, and that short somehow became unlisted, which I didn't do. And I had to go in and make it public. And it was one of those things where that was where I realized that little icon was changing, because I remembered seeing it the night before. And just, I was laying in bed and I looked at it and thought, well, that's weird. And kind of went about my business. And the next morning I noticed it again. So I went and I looked and it was unlisted. So anyway, I need your help. See, I did the so thing again. So what I'm talking about? But I'll take so over or any day of the week. I'll take that. So yeah, wet hair. Wet hair look. No, it's actually dry. It's just glossy, I guess, from the helmet. Yeah, glossy. Thank goodness it's still there. Yeah, that's all I care about, right? Is that it's still there. Though, the older you get, the thinner it becomes. I see unavailables periodically on my playlist. I don't know which channels they are for, so not just me. Maybe it's one of those random YouTube things. But what's concerning to me is the view counts associated with those videos. It seems like when that unlisted thing happens, the view counts mysteriously drop. And all of my views are organic. They're all actual viewers. So yeah, it's just kind of weird that it's happening. And I hope that it doesn't become a problem, because if you don't know already, ad revenue across the board on YouTube is down. If you have some creators that you normally watch and they're not putting out as many videos, or kind of disappearing for a while, it's because revenue is down across the board. Funny story, and this is going to go over an hour. Funny story, RV content. I'm desperate to get an RV. I'm desperate to get an RV. RV content was at its peak in 2020. Because of everything that was going on, people were trying to get RVs, and that carried into 2021 and in 2022. I so wish Big Truck Big RV was here. Every now and then he tunes in to a live stream. I so wish he was here. He could back this up. But there's what's called full-time RVers. And full-time RVers live in their RV. That's their home. They sell everything and they live in the RV, and every day they'll post something about their life in the RV. And they're going to all these exotic locations, and it's a really cool looking thing, to be doing. Very YouTube thing to be doing. The funny thing about that, and I hear a siren in the background. I hope that's no one close, because it's getting really close. But the funny thing about that is some of those full-time RVers, for quite a while, I've suspected that they're not really full-time. They're only YouTube full-time, what you see. As a matter of fact, there's one, I'm not going to name it, but it was a big channel. And they would usually have their blinds open when they were at some exotic location. And then sometimes they would be shut. And one day I happened to see this little crack in their, they had it up just a little bit. I was looking, I was like, they're in somebody's yard. Like, they're in a driveway and there's a house right there. There is a house right there. Well, as ad revenue has been dropping, if you're in an RV and you're doing that to make money on YouTube with your RV life is an expensive life. Even at its cheapest, it is an expensive lifestyle. So I'm trying to get out. I want an RV so bad. And I think maybe I'm getting closer, but not full time. Don't want to do it full time at all. But these full-time RVers, it was such a big segment, and now they're starting to drop out, and they're changing over to homestead. We're going to do homesteading now and do all this stuff, and getting out of full-time RVing, blah, blah, and coming up with excuse after excuse for why you shouldn't do it, and all that stuff that they would have known instantly getting into RVs. But the funny thing is, there's one channel that little crack in the window where I saw that they were in somebody's driveway. They were at that house. I saw the exact same thing off to the side, and guess what? It was their house. Their house that they had just bought But I saw it a long time ago through a crack in one of their windows. So unless they bought it from family members or something like that, you know how YouTube is. A lot of what you see is kind of fudged and a lot of the time. So yeah, the full-time RVers, they're really hurting with this ad revenue dropping. Fortunately for me, I live a frugal. I ride Walmart bikes. I ride and modify Walmart bikes. Man, less money is just less money to me. That's just less fluff. I live a very frugal lifestyle, so I can keep doing it. It can dry up even more. I don't want it to, but it could dry up even more. I can still do it. Live a frugal life. That's the only benefit of that. And Benji22, how are you? Glad to catch this stream again, even if you are late, and you are late. It's getting very late into this. And then Cebuano Stud, where are you at? I see someone. Oh, you were the one with the wet hair that commented wet hair. Well, hello to you. You're usually in the live streams. I appreciate it. So you actually got a strike for JB. What is JB? I'm missing something. Oh, Jingle Bells. You mentioned the Jingle Bells, so you got a copyright strike for it. Wow. Sung by a 14-year-old autistic child. Yeah, see? Yeah, sometimes they do stuff like that, but with music, I mean, you got to be very, very careful with music. And YouTube, if you are a creator, I'll give you a word of caution, at least from my perspective. YouTube has started this thing where they're switching over from, it used to be the audio library, and now I think it's YouTube music something. Or I see the spider. Is that camera hooked up? Is camera 2 hooked up? Hold on just a second. Since this is a live stream, I don't know if this is still hooked up. If this works. I think it's grayed out. I don't think it's hooked up. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, grayed out. Doggone it. Anyway, camera 2, if I could do didn't go back to live. If I could, oh my gosh. If I could do camera, professional high dollar production here. There is the spider. Here we go. I get him. It's getting stupid at this point. I'll be wrapping this up in a second. See if I can get this spider on this thing here. Oh, nope. No, down on the floor now. So it can have the floor. And yes, I am gingerly tilting my feet up on. If you hear sounds, it's where I'm moving. I have my foot propped up on the stuff in front of me. So yeah, sorry I couldn't show you the spider cam. You still waiting on parts for the Ozark Trail? No, the one that's hanging. I actually do have parts for that. I've shown them in a video. I've been working on this one since I have it. I figured, whatever. I'll probably end up donating that second one. Or I've been contemplating stripping it down and painting it and making that my first paint project for a bike, a custom paint job. So still tossing around ideas, I don't know, figure out something. But yeah, I did get parts for that. And did you see my video where I talked about they're going to have parts available? I think I still have my notes for that. Frame material 6061, size small, that will be available in spring of 2024. So that's a medium. They also make a large. There's going to be a small. And service and support, they will soon be publishing a support telephone number and an email address for parts and warranty on the Ridge. And they will also have spare parts available for sale. That's notes from a previous video. So if you missed that video, there's some more information on the Ozark Trail. I'll leave it at that. Custom paint job for the win. Yeah, maybe so. Interested in painting? Okay, we'll see. Lou Grub and Phantom, if there is interest, maybe I should do that. Even if I Kryloned it, right? If I made it look good, I've seen some pretty decent Krylon jobs. Some cheap paint. Of course, paint not cheap anymore. Not with the price of everything going up. Oh my gosh. Okay. I said this was going to be it. I'll just keep, this is how live streams go, and this one they end up being 2 hours long. But talking about scooters, I want to mention something about scooters that people need to consider when they're buying, especially 50cc scooters. If you're thinking about buying a 50cc, I did that video where I kind of compared a 50, I drag raced a 50cc and a class 3 e-bike, which gets me around to the topic that I kind of decided I'll make a dedicated video on, which was e-bike laws. I've noticed new e-bikes, a lot more class 2 only e-bikes, not class 3 upgrade, because usually you buy a class 2 and you can unlock them to class 3. I've noticed, like, that's why I think it's coming. I said it was my opinion, based on my observations. I think it's coming, a lot of e-bike laws, because of speed, everybody modifying, and somebody mentioned Suron, like, the just obnoxious stuff that they're trying to pass off. You watch the videos, there's the one dude that rides one around and brags about getting pulled over by cops because he's riding in the bike lane. 50 mile per hour bike. I mean, come on. Come on. A bike that weighs 100 and something pounds. Anyway, getting on a soapbox there, which is a good idea since I don't know where the spider went, but I'm getting on the soapbox. But I do want to mention something to factor in if you're shopping 50cc scooter, because some states, mine, this is a motorcycle. I have to wear motorcycle helmet. I have to have a motorcycle endorsement on my license. I have to pay auto insurance, have it tagged, extra expenses. Sometimes you don't have on e-bikes, but in some states, 50cc, if it's 50cc, you can ride it just like you could an e-bike, except not in the bike lane. But you don't have to have a license, any special stuff. So a lot of people shop scooter versus e-bike, and I kind of made a video on that. But I want to talk about one thing here. I guess now is as good a time as any. Scooters, that price. You buy an e-bike, if you buy if you're looking at a scooter, this scooter, you're going to spend about $3,000 out the door, but the list price on it, the sport one, is $26.99, I think. So maybe you shop for a $26.99 e-bike. You're comparing the two. Maybe you get one of those moped style e-bikes. Have one coming up in a review, actually two coming up in a review, maybe one made by Genuine. But these moped style moped style e-bikes, an argument could be made. 50cc scooter versus that, especially the faster of those. But the price on scooters, oh my gosh. If you buy a dealer from a dealer, and I'm talking reputable dealer, I'm not talking about, like, I used to be the little small selling the cheap stuff dealer. I'm talking Yamaha, Kawasaki, that kind of dealer, like actual motorcycle shop dealer. Have you checked the prices on stuff? Because it too is stupid crazy. You've heard about cars, the way they do the dealer markup. If it's a $60,000 truck, it might have a $20,000 dealer fee just randomly added on now. Scooters are apparently the same way. This bike is, I think, $26.99. I could be wrong. You're probably not going to roll this out the door for less than $3,000 now. These days, the scooter I got, my Rattler 200i, that was $28.99 for the price of the scooter. Oh, you're not getting it out the door anywhere. And I started calling all over the United States. For A, trying to find the color that I wanted, but B, one in stock and how much they were out the door, willing to even drive a far distance to get. Found out with ScooterStop, ScooterStop.com, great company to deal with. But I started shopping, you're not getting out the door. $3,800 was ScooterStop, about the cheapest out the door delivered to me. They actually delivered it to my door. But I was talking with dealers, the dealer that was 60 miles away from me that serviced it. It was $3,850 or something like that, closing in kind of on $3,900. Talked to another, it was $4,000. Talked to another, it was over $4,100. The Yamaha Zuma. The reason I ruled out the Yamaha Zuma, I liked the water cooling. With things getting hotter outside, water cooling would have been nice. Of course, I prefer the more CCs of what I got, but still, that new Zuma, pretty nice little bike. That thing, the cheapest dealer I could find that at, was over $1,000 more than the price of the bike out the door. And I couldn't believe that. The color that I wanted, the black that I wanted, the only place I found that regionally was about an hour and a half away from me. And they were almost $5,200. It was $5,100. This is paying cash. $5,100 and something out the door on a bike that has a list price of $37.99. 33, 35%. Just take that and add it onto the price of the bike. So that's something to factor in if you're scooter shopping, because it's getting expensive with dealer fees, which is another reason I like Scooter Stop. And I know I've been mentioning them, made the video about it. I'm telling you, if you're shopping for a genuine scooter or Lance or any brand like that, someone that actually services it to my standards, which is rare. I am so picky. I promise you, I can tell you any little defect, like right there. That is just a little bitty silver scratch where, I don't know if it was in the crate or when the dealer was prepping it, but there's just one little scratch right there on that little lip. And there's a little trim panel that doesn't quite meet up. And it's where they had the back off, where they were prepping it. They just didn't put it back together right. And I didn't put it because I wanted to see if service would notice it. And I've just left it. But I can tell you every little mark on a bike, especially when they come in or come out of service. And Scooter Stop is neurotic about keeping everything nice. And they're neurotic about making sure everything is at proper torque. So kind of right up my alley. So I bought it Scooter Stop. A little plug for them there, yeah. But factor in, if you're shopping e-bike versus scooter, oh my gosh, the fees on scooters is just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And it's getting to the point that I don't understand vehicle-wise. Man, I'm getting worried. My car, I drive a Mitsubishi Mirage. Like I mentioned, I live a frugal lifestyle, including my cars. A Mitsubishi Mirage. It's a 2017. I bought it in 2016. Paid off a long time ago. And I don't plan on, it has a 10-year warranty. And definitely want to ride it through the 10-year warranty. But I started thinking the other day, I was like, the warranty will be expiring on this thing. So maybe in 2026, when it expires, I'll get another one. Well, I looked up, and Mitsubishi is not going to import the Mirage anymore starting after 2025. So I think 2025 year model will be the last year model that they import. So some of those will probably be left over in 2026. The reason? They're going to focus on electric vehicles. Don't work for me. They're going to focus on electric vehicles for their entry-level line, but also there's some suspicion that's I keep pointing at it. It's in my driveway up the hill, kind of behind us here. But that's the last sub $20,000 car that you can buy new in the United States. It's going to mysteriously be going away. Because people or these companies have realized, hey, we can start making more money, by just selling more expensive stuff. I don't know how everyone's affording stuff. I honestly don't. Because I paid $16,500 for that car in 2016. The exact same trim level for my car right now, about $23,000, $22,500, something like that. That's just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. So I don't see how people are affording stuff. Guess we're here because we care about budget, right? We're here because we care about affordable quality products, which thank goodness are getting so good. Our quality affordable bikes and also our affordable e-bikes. Getting pretty good. Affordable scooters, genuine. Dealer level, but slightly. Actually, the price is now about the same. You're only saving a few $100s, but you're usually getting a better warranty. Like this had a 2-year warranty. My new scooter's got a 2-year warranty. And that Yamaha, 1 year. Unless you want to pay extra, you get the extended warranty. So, yeah. And if you get the right genuine, the Hooligan, that's got a 3-year warranty on it. So that was also in my running list of potential scooters. I'm going to wrap this up. I've kind of babbled enough here. I appreciate everyone that was here. I want to make sure I've covered everything. Threw my paper down. Yeah. So let me know in the comments here, or in the Nissan Versa starts under 20,000. There are Versa models that are under 20,000, but the article that I was reading was talking about the $20,000 cars. Nobody stocks the ones that are under 20,000 from what I understand. That was the argument they were made. The only dealer car that you could go up and find one on the lot was the Mirage. It's kind of the argument that I've been looking at the Honda Grom clone to buy. Be careful with those clones, Bulletproof. And this is coming from someone that's old Chinese bikes. You got to be careful with that stuff because there's not really, what brand? Can you tell me what brand you're looking at, Bulletproof? Because some of that stuff, it looks so good. It's eye candy. There's a guy on YouTube, I think it was Lab Coat Paul, I think was the guy that maybe used this wording. But I was watching, he bought this junk Chinese scooter and rebuilt it and showed how much labor it took to get into it, to keep it running and all this stuff. He mentioned one thing specifically about cheap, and we're talking cheap, you know, those little $1,000 special kind of things. Used to be the $699 special. Now they're the $1,200, $1,600 specials. But those level scooters, you have to be careful with them because he mentioned something specific about them. They're not designed to be repaired, be serviceable. Getting the stuff is a nightmare. Getting parts, proper parts, because most of the bikes you buy and then you're faced with getting on Amazon and looking, well, I think that stator looks like it's the exact same one, so I'll buy that one and see if it fits. Stuff like that. But he talked about those Chinese bikes. They're not made to be serviceable. They're not made to be reliable. They're made to be sold. The entire goal is to make them look good and get them out the door so that they can be sold. Anything that happens beyond that point, irrelevant, because there's no dealer network to worry with. It's just a consumer, and what's the poor little consumer gonna do? So be very, very careful. And you're talking about the Venom X20. I am not familiar with, wait a minute, I think I am. Pardon the interruption here. Let me look this up. The Venom X20. Venom X20. See where that, see if I can tell what. Venom Motorsports, is that from a dealer? Do they have a little dealer network? Because if you do have a dealer network, even the Vitachi brand, which personally, I wouldn't looked at them. Not anything I would want to invest my time in because I know what that's going to involve. But there's a local dealer that sells Vitachi, and they've been in business now for 3 or 4 years. And they have a branch that's about 1.5 miles in my loop, running in a scooter. I do specific loops. And one of my loops takes me beside their repair facility. And they actually do repairs. You have to take it to them. But, hey, if you have a dealer, you're going to buy it, and for a year they'll service it. Maybe that can make up the difference. Because usually if you can get them past the shakedown period. But I will tell you that most of that Chinese stuff, and I know I just bought a China scooter, so you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to make the arguments for and against. I have yet to see a budget bike that the exhaust doesn't fall off of at some point. Watch YouTube videos, and even the people, it's kind of this thing, I always laugh. It's this person, and they'll bring out that, and I'm going to say a brand here, only because I've seen it in videos. So if you're X-Pro, you can get offended or whatever, but I'm recanting a video here. Many videos, but X-Pro caliber stuff. You'll see them bring it out and go, well, this is my X-Pro, whatever model. This is the best scooter I've ever had. And I've never had any problems with it. It's been running, and I've been riding this thing for 6 months, and I haven't had, any problems. So anybody that says these are problematic, they don't know what they're talking about. And then in that same video, they'll be going around the bike, and they'll talk about that 6 months, but then they'll show the odometer, and it's got 84 miles on it in 6 months. So how long have you ridden it? You haven't had time to have any problems. But then they'll mention, I did I haven't had any problems with it, Well, now this is a new exhaust because the old exhaust fell off. Oh, but you didn't have any problems with it, but the old exhaust fell off. And then going around, and I've got the red CDI or the blue CDI because the factory one started acting up. Had that one, and then the dealer fixed the stator for me when it wouldn't charge the battery. The dealer fixed the stator for me one time, so, but I hadn't had any problems. That's kind of the thing, and I can tell you from modifying big box bikes and owning the super cheap scooters, just big box bikes. Even the best of the best, if you ride them like that, these are lubed decently well. The hubs and stuff on these are lubed decently well. but I don't expect the unserviceable life out of this without having to do something to it versus a $700 Trek. I don't expect the same, and it's no different when you get into scooters. If you're going to buy cheap, just factor in what you're going to need to do. But, $700 Trek versus a $400 bike that I can ride for quite a long time and slowly upgrade, that fits my needs. So if a $1,600 bike, if you know what you're getting into and you're prepared for it and you're able to wrench, I think that's really the key separator for me when it comes to scooters, the Chinese, anything cheap, is if you have the ability to wrench, that's a different argument. That is a different argument. If you have the capability to work on your stuff, but some people, it is very surprising now how many people know so little about things. Case in point, Alabama. I live in the great state of Alabama with the southern sunshine. It's, nice people, a lot of nice people here. But I can remember when Hyundai built a factory in Montgomery, Alabama, and there was, I think it was Toyota was talking about, and funny, Toyota is now setting up a plant just about an hour away from me. But at that time, I think it was Toyota. There was another company the state was lobbying, and they came in and they decided not to build here and to build, I think, somewhere in Canada. And they were talking to one of the guys, and I'll never forget, I was reading, I don't know if it's a reading or watching a video, but the guy talked about screwdrivers. And he said, in Alabama, we had to show documentation that this is a Phillips head screwdriver or a slotted screwdriver. Had to talk about flathead versus Phillips head and show pictures so that people would understand. And that's not attacking the intellectual prowess of Alabamians. That's just saying that a lot of people these days don't even know what a flipping screwdriver, what type of screwdriver it is, which is just crazy to me, but I understand. Not everybody lives in a house where you can work on your own car outside, things like that. So, yeah, it's very different, but stuff to factor in. If you're looking at a Venom X20, which I don't know anything about Venom, if they do have a dealer network, slightly different scenario. But when it comes to, I mentioned this in one video, I like budget bikes. I have levels that I won't even go below on a budget bike. But when it comes to scooters, I'm willing to pay a cheap scooter to me, $2,500. A cheap scooter to me. So, yeah, be careful because, there's just so much that can go wrong. And you're typically going faster. The more the weight goes up on anything, even heavy e-bikes, the more the weight goes up, the more chance there is for something bad to go wrong if something happens. So 10 miles a day, heavy bike. Sure, but the Mongoose XR Pro really helped this channel and Walmart's marketing philosophy. Put a B in that. That's from Lou Grubb. Yeah, that XR Pro. Started watching a long time ago. Oh, did I mix that up? Oh, I made 2 comments. Okay. Yeah, heavy bike for sure, the XR Pro. So you put 10 miles a day on an XR Pro. Pretty good. Yeah, is that bike still available? I looked a while back and it was still for sale. It was still for sale, but I don't know. That's getting long in the tooth as far as future parts because someone had told me they called in the bushing kit. You couldn't get the bushing kit anymore from support. And it seems like I called and was able to verify that. I believe I might have mentioned it in the video that the bushing kit. So when you can't get parts for stuff, that becomes a problem. A big, big problem, which is another reason I try to go 10 years on cars because there's a legal obligation that they have to provide parts for 10 years. Fortunately, the Mitsubishi Mirage, other than the grille, it hadn't changed. So if they release the 2025 model, I'll at least have parts for another 10 years after that, so to 2035. So I don't know. Just thinking about money, always thinking about saving that buck. And since I started following you, I bought 4 bikes and an e-bike. Mohammed Al-Duri, thank you for stating that you have so many bikes. Be careful because that 4 can turn into 40 real quick. Just be careful with that. So anyway, yeah, Greyleaf. I think Greyleaf's got the perfect segue. Take care, been fun, and thanks. I'm going to get out of this now. Let me check a couple of comments, make sure nobody's asking anything. Oh, I bought extra bushing kits because of your videos. Lou Grub, you're looking out for your XR. Smart, smart, smart. This, I don't know what that, the CVIT Media, Mongoose XR Pro, $498, but nobody has it. Okay, so out of stock. Might be gone. Pretty sure that whatever's left is all that's out there. Devon Sanders, talking to Lou. Small Adventures, hello to you. Talking to Muhammad. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in, sitting through this, just kind of jabbering. Very few topics today, more audience interaction. If you came here late, go back, watch the rest of the video. I read all the comments. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. And stay tuned because lots of cool stuff coming. Lots of e-bikes, but that's what's coming out. But still, that full suspension Mongoose, got that coming up. It's something to see, and it's Kev Central colors. So you can't be wrong. Can't go wrong with that. Anyway, thanks so much. And again, I'll be upgrading slowly more on that. Parts to come. And can you tell? Let's see if anyone can tell here. That's a Jason Voorhees mask on Copernicus up there. Probably should have put eyes in there for him. Make it stand out a little more. But I'm trying to do a little something special with him. I missed him, I think, on the last live stream. So Copernicus is back. He says hi and bye. Thanks so much for watching. Now I'm going to end this thing. Let's see if I can get to my gone screen. And we'll get done here. Thanks for watching.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.